Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to Daytona International Speedway as we get ready to go racing here tonight at the home of the Great American Race. Now, I say racing because we're actually racing for a checkered flag here for the first time this season. Yes, we've had practice sessions, we've had qualifying sessions, but we haven't really had a victory on the line. Tonight, in the first annual Sprint Unlimited, we will have our first race winner of the second season of Hersheys Cup competition. It's an all-retro Racing Enterprises front row with Charles Sanford on the pole position, Jessica Shelton alongside in second place. It's going to be very interesting to see how long they can stay up at the front. There's probably going to be a lot of jostling for position. There's only 14 drivers in this field, 14 drivers returning here for a second season that had a pole position last year. So, we're going to be getting ready to go here, but we got about 30 seconds before the command, and I want to use that 30 seconds to state that I did make a mistake in this year's starting grid. Austin LaPlante I had down as a rookie in the 48. He actually did drive full-time last season in the 51. Therefore, I have remedied the situation where he was not a chartered ride. He is a chartered ride. I had to go back to see who it was that he beat out. Holden Gluba in the 55, who's also in this field starting 8th, is not a chartered car. Let's get the command.
Start your engines!
So unfortunately for Holden Gluba, he will not be a chartered machine for the season. Austin LaPlante, however, will, because he did get his name in before Holden Gluba did. So I apologize for that mistake on my part, but I had to fix that because that just wouldn't have been fair. So Charles Sanford on the pole position. Sanford ended up holding 2 poles last season. One at Daytona and one at Freeway. Jessica Shelton alongside of him had a pole position at Martinsville. Back in row 2, Austin LaPlante on the inside line had a pole at Infineon alongside of him. James Richardson, who was driving a Ford last season, had a pole position at Charlotte. Rocco Twyman on the outside of row 3. He ended up having a pole position last season. Actually, 2 of them, one at Phoenix, one at Zenjoltis. Alongside of him, Joshua Circuli in the 47. Had 3 poles, one at Bristol, and he actually swept the pole position at both the Talladega races. Back in row 4, you've got Emmanuel Hartnett in the 97. Hartnett had 2 pole positions last season at Dover and Taylor Swift Superdome when he drove the 83 Toyota. Holden Gluba to his outside in the 55 had a pole position at Watkins Glen. Dylan Poteet making up row 5 with Joshua Michaels. Poteet had 2 pole positions last season. They were actually back-to-back poles at Las Vegas and South Boston, and alongside of him, Joshua Michaels in the 10 car had a pole at the track he won at, Pocono Raceway. In row 6, Carson Scott on the inside line in 38 had 2 pole positions at Darlington and Michigan. Alongside of him, the defending champion, Anthony McCrory in the Audi A5, had 3 poles at Kentucky, M&M's, and Lime Rock. And in the final row, Noah Cars in the 96, he had 2 pole positions last season at Richmond and Montreal. Alongside him, John Arndt in the 24. John Arndt had a pole position at the second race of the year last year at Rockingham, UK. It's time to go green flag racing here for 24 laps under the lights at Daytona. Charles Sanford, Jessica Shelton get us underway in our first annual Sprint Unlimited. All these drivers returning for a second season full-time. Not all of them chartered machines. Out of turn number 2, Austin LaPlante tucks in line behind Charles Sanford. He'll move into second place. Now here comes Joshua Circuli up the inside, trying to get some help. He's got Emmanuel Hartnett, Dylan Poteet back there, and that'll be enough draft to help him pull alongside to battle for second. 3 wide further back, Holden Gluba up the middle, along with help from Joshua Michaels. Rocco Twyman stuck on the outside line. Same for James Richardson. Jessica Shelton there as well. And here comes Circuli diving to the bottom. He's going to look for the lead off of Charles Sanford, who will lead the first lap of the night. But I don't think he'll lead the second because Circuli is there. He's alongside, and he's probably going to get the run here into 1 on the inside. He will indeed put the 47 to the lead. Still 3 wide further back. Emmanuel Hartnett, Joshua Michaels trying to get that middle line going. Inside line, you got Noah Kars and John Arndt, and then Jessica Shelton, James Richardson kind of drifting back on the outside line as Dylan Poteet looks to the inside for the top position. Carson Scott trying to cut off Holden Gluba there to hang in third. He nearly got turned off the nose of the Napa, or not Napa, Aaron's Dream Machine, I should say, but held on to it. And this could be a drag race right here between Poteet and Circuli. Nope, Poteet with the inside line through the tri-oval will lead the second lap of the evening. Got an opportunity here for a few teammates to work together. Of course, Retro Racing Enterprises with Shelton and Sanford. You've got Joe Gibbs Racing with Holden Glube in the 55, James Richardson in the 11, and then you've also got John Arndt and Carson Scott who can work together, the 38 and the 24. Dylan Poteet out to about a half car length lead. Carson Scott, Joshua Circuli now working together to reel him in, and Carson Scott may have a great run coming out of turn 4 here. Will he put the slingshot? No, Circuli instead goes down to the bottom, and the battle will be on for second as Poteet will lead yet another lap. A lot of different manufacturers represented here in this Sprint Unlimited as well. There are a couple of notables that are missing. There is not a Mercedes-Benz in this field. There is not a Mitsubishi Lancer in this field. We've got Chevrolet, Toyota, Dodge Dart, Audi A5. Surprisingly, no Fords. Circuli now out to the top position. Now Circuli was tied with Anthony McCurry for most pole positions last year with 3. And 2 of them, as I said, came at the 2 Talladega races. So we definitely know he has a fast car when we come to super speedway races, as he's battling now side by side with Holden Gluba, who now finds himself in the same position as Joshua Circuli, a returning driver, a returning race winner from last season, and now a non-chartered machine. So Gluba will have to race his way into the Daytona 500 in the Can-Am Duels. That'll be next on the schedule. Can-Am Duels here from Daytona, and then we'll have our final happy hour session with the drivers that lock themselves into the Great American Race, and then we get ready for the second annual Daytona 500, where we are guaranteed a new Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Acosta, who won the Season 1 Daytona 500, not returning here this season in the Hersheys Cup Series, so we are guaranteed a brand new Daytona 500 winner for the second time in 2 years. Carson Scott in the second position. He'll be very happy to see who's going to come to his back bumper now. John Arndt moving by Joshua Circuli for third place. So now the 2 teammates from AS Racing who finished second and third in the Great American Race last year. Now they are nose to tail and going to try and run down the Toyota Camry of Holden Gluba. But now John Arndt with a big run down the back straightaway, going to leave his teammate out to dry. Now, if you're Holden Gluba, this is not a good thing to be way out in front like this. The only way that it's working for him right now is the drivers are more content to battle for second place. That kills the momentum they have with the draft. And now they're starting to get doubled up there, and that's going to produce some pretty good speed both on the inside and outside line, and they're going to get to the back bumper of Holden Gluba pretty soon, I think. Haven't talked much about Anthony McCurry this week in practice or in qualifying. There he is, the defending champion of this series, and what better way to finish off what was a great season for him last year, winning the championship, but to win the Sprint Unlimited here tonight to start off his second season. Got a big run there, didn't know where to go with it. Thought about going way up to the outside line, but there wasn't any room between the wall and Joshua Circuli. Now he cuts it back down to the bottom, and he'll battle for the third position. Now we got teammates out in front, 1-2 from Joe Gibbs Racing. Gluba now has teammate James Richardson behind him in the 11. Jessica Shelton, who started outside the front row, has now worked her way back up to the 5th position. So a nice job of recovering. We saw her about 7 laps ago, way up on the outside line 3 wide, drifting to the rear of the field. Right now it's Toyota, Audi, and then 3 Chevrolets from 3rd on back through 6th. And Anthony McCurry is going to do some work on his own to the inside line on James Richardson for 2nd. Now here comes some help. Here comes the Chevy trio of Circuli, Shelton, and Arndt. So far, we have run green flag as we complete lap 8, go on to lap 9, and so that could come into question of whether these drivers might have to pit before this Sprint Unlimited is over. 24 laps, and I'm not rightly sure what the fuel window is for these drivers. I used to know last season because it was the CTS physics. We're running Cup physics this season, and usually Cup physics, when they show how much fuel is left, it actually is an accurate reading. There is not CTS fall off. So I do not know what the fuel window is exactly, or not, whether they're going to make it the rest of the way on one tank of fuel or not. What I do know is the battle's on for the lead. Anthony McCrory, he worked his way by James Richardson by himself, and now he'll go to the top position by himself, trying to move up and clear Holden Gluba, and will succeed. And Anthony McCrory, the defending champion, leads his first lap of the evening here in the Sprint Unlimited. You gotta wonder how many drivers here are utilizing the same race car that they drove in this morning's qualifying session. Number of drivers ended up having really good lap times that are running right now back around the 8th, 9th position. Actually, 8th, 9th, and 10th were actually in the final 12 in qualifying. Rocco Twyman, Noah Kars, and Dylan Poteet. Not really sure if they're running the same car they ran in qualifying or not. Might not want to tear up their equipment, but right now there's not really much of a chance of that. The way that they're racing very clean. Been some good battling up front as the Toyota duo back out in front again, Gluba and Richardson. Each Chevy car is going to have to work together to get by these two Toyotas, because they seem to have it pretty well figured out of what they've got to do to keep everyone at bay. They lost first and second Anthony McCrory for a brief moment, but then battled back and now are 1-2 once again. Just about to the halfway point of this Sprint Unlimited as well. Joshua Circuli there in third, McCrory now in fourth, and then Jessica Shelton having to do battle with the two AS Racing cars of John Arndt, Carson Scott at the battle for 5th place. Things very spread out right now. A lot of drivers possibly going to lose touch with the lead pack there, even as close up as Noah Kars in 8th place. Charles Sanford started on the pole position for this race, and he's running back in the 14th position, tail end of the field. And this 4-car breakaway, they're running single file right now. Whoa! Little bit of contact right there between Anthony McCrory and Joshua Circuli. Circuli getting unceremoniously moved out of the way, and McCrory, I think, kind of felt bad about that. Looked like he might have been trying to give the spot back to Joshua Circuli in the 47. Actually, I think he'll have to now. Going here to turn 1. No, he still is able to remain to the inside, and that's allowing, this battle side by side for third is allowing the top two to break away. They were about 3/10 ahead, almost 4/10 ahead of third place Joshua Circuli, who now loses the spot to McCrory. Last time by, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a full half-second ahead now. And you can see they're starting to form up. It's starting to get into a bit of a freight train kind of thing. Typical Daytona in the midway point of this race. They're all starting to just kind of ride around, pick their moment. See at the line here the distance between Richardson and McCrory, and it's roughly about 3/10. Gluba, Richardson nose to tail. Now here comes McCrory and Joshua Circuli. They're going to make it a 4-man fight, and if these drivers start racing it up, then you've got John Arndt, Carson Scott, Jessica Shelton there. 5th, 6th, 7th, they're going to start reeling them in. And McCrory, boy, I'll tell you what, Anthony McCrory does not like riding behind people. He wants to be making moves here. He tried to break up the Joe Gibbs Racing duo once again. Whoa, are we going to have pit stops? Looks like we are. Holden Gluba is signaling out the window. Here comes the 55 to pit road. John Arndt is in as well, along with Carson Scott, Jessica Shelton, Noah Kars, Austin LaPlante. Looks like Rocco Twyman is also coming to pit lane. That turns the lead over to James Richardson. And so these drivers were not able to make it the full distance on fuel. They will be able to now, though. They're pitting with about 14 laps run, 15 laps run. They will definitely, if they get the thing full of fuel, they'll make it the rest of the way. And this could be very interesting. Remember, there's only 14 cars in this Sprint Unlimited. These could get spread out very, very well at a 2.5-mile super speedway. And now the top three will come to pit road. Richardson, McCrory, Circuli, Dylan Poteet's coming in. Hartnett's in along with Charles Sanford, and here comes Joshua Michaels, who lost a ton of ground in the last couple of laps. That's really what happened with the 10. Holden Gluba has now left pit road, so it may come down to a battle between teammates off pit road. Gluba just now exiting pit road ahead of John Arndt. Richardson, they're still going to work on that car. Right side tires going on. Let's go to the spectator cam. The spectator cam is beautiful off pit road. And Richardson's down and away ahead of McCrory and Circuli. Now let's see if we can find that 55 car of Holden Gluba. Don't see him yet. We'll get a good angle coming here out of turn 2, though. There is Gluba there. And it doesn't look like Gluba's going to catch. Gluba trying to get a big draft down the back straightaway. I don't know who that is he's with. Couldn't tell what car that was. But it will be James Richardson coming out with the lead. McCrory in second. Circuli in third. Must have been John Arndt that Holden Gluba was working with. Arndt now looking for the 4th position. Move Gluba back to 5th. Poteet in 6th. And then here's a group that maybe could do something in the late stages if they can keep together. Carson Scott will cross the line in the 7th position. LaPlante just narrowly missed out on 8th place at the line. Noah Carr's got it. But now 8th place is LaPlante. 9th is Noah Carr's. And Rocco Twyman completes the top 10. 11th place is Emmanuel Hartnett. 12th, Charles Sanford. 13th, Jessica Shelton. And Joshua Michaels running all by his lonesome now in the 14th position. Top 3 are going to start bunching up here now. I would be very wary, though, about 7th on back. That group of Carson Scott, Noah Carr's, Austin LaPlante, Rocco Twyman. 5 seconds back with about 7 laps to go. If these guys continue to race, those guys might be able to catch them. Let's see if they closed in any distance this time. Carson Scott was about 5.07 seconds back last time by. They cut it down by 0.8. They are quickly catching them. And they have enough time to be able to reel them in, too. Now, right now, they're going single file top 3. Richardson, Circuli, McCrory. That is not what those other 4 need. They might actually be able to reel in this group. Holden Gluba, John Arndt, Dylan Poteet. And if they do, that'll help them produce even more speed. Gluba right now in 4th. They're trying to reel in the top 3 who are racing again. They're not in a tight draft. That's going to help 4th on back to try reeling them in. At the line, 6 laps to go. Circuli leads. Richardson now in 2nd. McCrory in 3rd. Chevy, Toyota, Audi. And now they've got a big pack of cars behind them trying to reel them in. Poteet leads it. Gluba's in this group along with Twyman, Arndt, Scott, LaPlante, and Cars. This is 4th on back through 10th. It's 7 cars versus 3. And if these 3 do not remain single file, they're going to get reeled in very, very quickly. Last time by, Poteet was about 3.66 seconds back. This time by, let's see if they close the gap up at all. Actually, they lost ground that time. They lost 9/10 to the top 3. I don't know if they were all trying to get organized or what. Poteet, Twyman, and LaPlante now all in a draft together. And then John Arndt, Noah Carr's, Holden Gluba, and Carson Scott having a little bit of difficulty getting themselves into a group. So now it's going to be a 3-on-3 situation. Which group's going to produce the most speed? McCrory's actually not really quite in touch with James Richardson's back bumper, so their draft not quite as tight. And there you can see them all moving out of line there to try and get cool air on the nose of their machines. As Circuli leads here, now comes the big question. If you're Richardson stepping out of line, is McCrory going to go with you? And again, Dylan Poteet and company lost ground. They lost about 3/10 that time, so it may come down to just these three drivers unless they start getting really, really racy in the closing stages. James Richardson's in the best spot right now to be able to produce a slingshot because he's able to get the slipstream off the back of the 47 and able to get a little bit of forward draft off the front of the 61. So if he wants to slingshot, he's got the opportunity to maybe make the move himself, but right now he's just riding, waiting for his moment. A three-time winner last season in Joshua Circuli, James Richardson, who had a pretty consistent season last year, but was unable to find victory lane. And Anthony McCrory, the defending champion of this series. Which of these three drivers is going to find victory lane? That time by Dylan Poteet and company closed the gap up a little bit, but not much. It stayed almost the same between third to fourth place. Coming down, the flagman will be holding out two fingers. It's not a peace sign. It means 2 to go here in the Sprint Unlimited. Circuli still hanging on. He's going to have to do a lot of mirror driving now, as looks like James Richardson getting a little antsy there, starting to want to make some moves, but Anthony McCrory's not really close enough to him to be able to help push him by. Not sure what McCrory is doing, unless he's just allowing his motor to cool a little bit, maybe waiting for an opportunity to get into the slipstream and get a huge run on the both of them. But he's now starting to actually lose a little bit of touch. It may be mano-a-mano, Circuli versus Richardson here in the final lap. Don't know if McCrory is losing touch with the top two or not. Oh, Richardson got a nice run there out of 4. Will he peek to the inside, come into the white flag? He is right there on the back bumper. White flag displayed. One more lap to go. Circuli, Richardson. It's going to come down between these two. Richardson again trying to do a slingshot move. Not close enough to make the move yet into 1. Can Circuli hang on? Can Richardson do something down the back straightaway and into turn 3? Here we go. Let's see if the gap closes at all. Richardson remaining in the draft. He starts to reel in just the least little bit. Will he slingshot to the inside going into turn number 3? Not able to do it this time. Maybe he'll try and get the run here out of turn number 4. Come into the line. Out of turn number 4. Joshua Circuli. James Richardson. Circuli's going to come to the line, and Circuli will win the first annual Sprint Unlimited at Daytona.